Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to review Superman and Lois Season 4's Episode 4, which has been titled A Perfectly Good Wedding. Now this episode has the best opening scene, as we see Lois still standing on Sam's grave. And here we see some clouds being shown at first, where Jordan and Jonathan both hear something, and so does Lois. It is Clark and he is back. Both have a lovely reunion. This is one of the most beautiful and cinematic shots, and it's an amazing scene as the boys are also seen coming running. All of them have a big family hug. Clark is also heard saying how he feels different after returning, and it all seems going by fast. Maybe it is because he is still recovering, and his surgery scar is still like this. But the thing is that he knows the importance of having all this, and he is glad to be back. Jonathan is also really happy to help out his father with the barn, but Jordan has a big face. It has been 3 weeks now since he returned, and now he wants to get out. But here Lois is seen telling him how his heart is still of a 60-year-old man, and they don't know his limits. So she just tells him to take the boys for training. Where on the other side, Chrissy is having cold feet, as she isn't really good with her mother. And then we come to know how Jordan didn't go with them. But John is really happy, where Clark also tells him to finish this at first and then they can go to the next level. John looks confident here and Clark is really impressed, as John is seen exceeding his expectations and is like a pro, where he also asks John about if he has ever seen Fury Road, and then they go racing. He is really happy to see Jordan flying, but then his heart starts beating faster and he crash lands. It is a matter to worry about. Where Lois and Chrissy are also seen working, finding people who can flip against Luthor. And here Chrissy gets a call about how some pipes exploded and the wedding cannot be held at the court. So Lois offers to host it at the barn, and Chrissy also asks her to be her maid of honor. Back at home, Lois also overhears John telling Clark to tell Grandma to run some more tests on him, and he is really worried about his father. Lois gets even more concerned when Clark tells her how he barely felt the hit, as he never feels a hit normally, and then he starts acting goofy to melt her, where she also reveals how they are hosting a wedding, and they are totally blank on their faces. Mr. Beppo is not so friendly, and she is really rude, and is also seen age-shaming Carl, but he takes it really well. Where John is also seen telling Jordan to stop listening to that audio as it is messing with his mind, and he is so right. I mean, Clark is back and Jordan isn't even going out with him. He is just staying at home. At night, Clark and Lois are seen having wine on the porch, and here he finally reveals how he doesn't feel strong as before. His super hearing is not as good as before, and his left ear is still shaken up. But Lois also comforts him really well here. And yes, he is really thankful to Sam, as because of him, Clark is still here, breathing. And yes, he also feels the wine now. The next morning, he shows Carl the barn, and Carl is really impressed, as it is wonderful. Carl is also really happy to see Clark, and he also asks him to be his best man. But he gets a bit worried about the indoor grill at first, which turns out to be really good, as Carl is really impressed by the steak. When John and Jordan bring Chrissy, Jordan hears Cragen's voice and he tells John to take Lois with him by pinpointing the location, and Chrissy seems to be still not confident about the wedding. Sarah is also seen trying to talk to Jordan in the barn, and he seems really off. Turns out he is just feeling like a loser, as after all this time of pretending to be a hero, he couldn't even save Clark's heart. And Sarah is a really good comforter. We also see Lois walking like a boss with John by her side, where she first calls Cragen by the name Cheryl Kimbob. She is seen asking her to become a witness and flip on Lex, or she will be killed by Lex for sure. But looks like Cheryl does not really know Lex. I'm really happy to see Lois with that confidence again, as now there are 3 soups with her. The scar is still not healing, but when Lois arrives, Clark is seen complimenting her about how she looks really amazing, where they also talk about Jordan and the clip. But Lois wants to make it right herself. Just one compliment from Lois and Clark is seen turning into a happy man, and all blushing. He is such a sweetheart. But when Sarah visits Chrissy, she seems to be getting really nervous now. Lois is finally seen talking to Jordan, where he also reveals how he is not mad at Lois for choosing John. He is just mad at himself as he keeps letting her down. Thankfully, they both sort it out. and this was a really heartwarming scene. But then Sarah comes running. Turns out Chrissy is not found anywhere, and she just ran away. Where Clark also gives a pep talk to Kyle about being patient, as Kyle just wants a family really bad. Clark is also seen telling him how he knows the feeling, as he also wants things to go to normal again. Sarah is also seen saying sarcastically how the barn is cursed, and then Jordan hears how there's a fire in Metropolis. He tells Jonathan to go and just use the freeze breath. Lois does find Chrissy in Smallville. Turns out she just feels how everything is going too fast. So Lois is seen calming her down, and John is seen trying to get the fire out, where he also sees Cheryl. Turns out Lex is trying to kill her, and then a guy with firearms is seen attacking him. When Jordan tells Clark about John, Lois finally lets him go. And just as that guy is about to attack John, Superman arrives and swallows all the fire. Obviously, it's a surprise. I mean, it's so good to see him back in a suit. It does look a little bit darker. He just keeps walking towards him until the gun explodes, and then he also cracks a joke of, "Not bad for a dead guy." Back at home, Chrissy and Kyle are also announcing how there is going to be no wedding, but it will be on a date decided by the bride. And then they also tell everyone to just party. Everyone is seen dancing and enjoying. I was really happy to see John and Sophie dancing together. It's like they were all actually having fun, instead of just acting. And this must be the most comforting episode so far. At night, Clark also states how he didn't count the wine, and then they decide to ignore the phone. Where in the post-credit, we see headlines of Superman being back. It was an 11 on 10 overall, and the writing was so good. So guys, stay tuned for further more updates, and if you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Also let me know in the comments what you think about this. Thank you.